Transgenderism is not new to India. It has been an evident part of our Indian history as our culture and society accepts and acknowledges the third sex, gender fluidity, and cross gender roles since ancient times. Several mythological tales, ancient texts, scriptures, and paintings describe the prominent presence of third gender in India. Are several ancient texts and languages such as Sanskrit and Pali also confirms the existence of third gender. The famous texts such as Kama Sutra and Manusmriti also acknowledge the existence of three sexes and refers to the third one as Tritya Pravriti. Moreover, Sanskrit and Tamil grammar also refers to the existence of third neuter gender. I have divided the presentation into three parts. I'll discuss mythology in ancient times, history of transgender in India, and their positions in contemporary times. There are several mythological tales which reflect that transgender community was valued and respected in ancient times. Some of the mythological stories relate to Shikhandi and Arjuna from Mahabharata, tales of Mohini, Sudyamanu, the divine Ardhanareshwar, and the famous Indian deity Ayappa. Ayappan, described from the root names Ayan and Appan, both means father. The famous tale of his birth alludes to the consummation between Lord Shiva and Mohini. Mohini is considered a female avatar of Lord Vishnu and is often labeled as a trans woman. Another reference is a shlok from Tulsidas Ramcharitmanas, which reads, Purush Napunsak Nari va Jeev Charachar Koi, Sarv Bhav Bhaj Kapat, Taji Mohi Param Priya Sohi, which means man, queer, women, even plants and animals, free of meanness, full of devotion, all are equally dear to me. Napunsak here means who is not quite men or women. Transversing through the lanes of history of 16th and 17th century India, we find their presence into harems. Harems in former times was a separate part of Muslim household reserved for wives, concubines, and female servants. In harems, they held the positions of guards, courtesans, attendants, gatekeepers, and friends to the royal ladies. In royal courts, they served as political counselors, commanders, and advisors. We find several references of their presence in historical texts. One such travelogue is of Dutch merchant Francisco Balsert. In 17th century, he mentioned the power enjoyed by the third gender in imperial courts and households. Further, Akbarnama also refers to the role of eunuch Niyamat and his stronghold in the empire. Imtiaz Khan, eunuch officer at Akbar's court who held the charge of administering the finances of the state. Another reference is of Nazir, who was the chief eunuch in court of Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah Rangila. Several historical texts and memoirs of 15th and 16th century also refers to the existence of eunuchs in the courts of Akbar, Jahangir, and many other rulers. After the Mughal period and with the arrival of the Britishers in India, the life for transgender people became difficult as it was a legally planned persecution that was compounded and implemented under the British rule. State policies became punitive under colonial rule and several communities and tribes were labeled as criminals, followed by the restriction on their movements, segregation, and profiling them with inborn criminal tendencies. The Criminal Tribes Act was enacted in 1871 and it was updated with further modifications in 1911 and 1924. Transgender community was accused of sexual deviance, homosexuality, and were made a sight of fear. In 1952, the Criminal Tribes Act was replaced by Habitual Offender Act by the Government of India. Keeping in view the need for equality and the marginalized status of the transgender population in India, in a landmark judgment by the Honorable Supreme Court in 2014, the decisions were made to impart the right of equality to the transgender population. The government was redirected by the Honorable Supreme Court for the legal recognition and protection of transgender community, thus giving them the right to decide the self-identified gender. In 2016, an Act for Protection of Rights of Transgender was passed, with further updation in 2019. The bill of 2019 is regarded as the most progressive bill. It is a step forward in direction of legal recognition and protection of transgender rights. So there are several steps taken by the Government of the India for the welfare of the transgender community, but equality is yet to be achieved. There are several trans activists such as Lakshmi Narayan Tripathi and Gauri Samant who are working hard for helping all the transgender community achieve their rights. But their demand of achieving rights is not that of a mere gender, but they want to be valued as a human being.